This IndyCar Championship Odds and Driver Changes edition of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog. Underdog is hooking up new customers. Play just $5 and get $75 in bonus funds when you sign up with our promo code RACESGPN.
Driver, start your engine!
Strap in and pull those belts up tight as the Sports Gambling Podcast Network presents the NASCAR Gambling Podcast.
I'm just gonna put my foot on the floor and I'm not lifting till I see God or a checkered flag.
My man.
With all the news and the best bets for your NASCAR weekend.
We want to thank you tonight for these mighty machines that you brought before us. Thank you for the Dodges and the Toyotas. Thank you for the Fords. Lord, I want to thank you for my smoking hot wife tonight, Lisa. In Jesus' name, boogity, boogity, boogity.
Now, here are your hosts, Rod Villagomez and Cody Zeeb.
Welcome into another episode of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. He's Cody Zeeb. I'm Rod Villagomez. Today is Wednesday. Unfortunately, we did talk about a lot of the NASCAR news that was.
What day is it, Rod? What day is it?
Cody, what day is it? Is it hump day?
That's right.
Yeah, all right. Already off to an inauspicious start to our Wednesday episode. However, we are here today because we did, like we said, talked about a lot of the NASCAR news that was pretty much taking up the headlines yesterday as we talked about the NASCAR ending in the settlement and what that meant. So go back, listen to that. And now this week, really, we got to talk about some IndyCar stuff and some F1 stuff because why not, Cody? We are a full service racing podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, we love these other series as well. We've got odds for them, which helps. We'd love to give you win totals for NASCAR. We'd love to give you season head-to-heads. We'd love to give you a lot of things, but we don't have them just yet. We'd love to talk O'Reilly Auto Parts Series and Craftsman Truck Series odds, but we're still waiting on those things. So as we wait, there is plenty of other options out there with IndyCar and with F1. We're going to talk IndyCar Championship odds today, but we've got future shows coming up as well. There's I believe there was season win totals for IndyCar is up now. Indy 500 odds are out. We will talk those things. And then F1 as well. The championship odds we're planning to talk tomorrow. There's season match bets up for them. I don't know if I've seen win totals just yet, but there's some race lines up already for a couple of races next year as well. So might be something to dig into, but plenty of off-season racing betting. And that's what we love to talk about. Only 60 days till Daytona, Rod. 2 months, basically, from today. Daytona 500. That means 1.5 months away from the Clash of Bowman Gray. Well, buddy, it's a short off season, and we love it.
It most certainly is. And according to the NTT IndyCar Series website, there are 73 days, 6 hours, 53 minutes, and 33, 32, 31 seconds until St. Petersburg. So they have to wait a little bit longer, but I guess the wait is worth it, correct, for IndyCar racing as they take to the streets of St. Petersburg on March the 1st. That is when the official season begins. But, Cody, much like the F1 series, there's been a lot of shakeup in the IndyCar series as well. Some big-name drivers with new rides and some new folks in some new places. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about some of the impact that has on the championship futures, which I guess if you're just going to go put one down now, we'll tell you exactly who to put that on because it feels like it's almost a no-brainer at this point. However, there are other drivers to talk about. We'll do all of that, but we want to remind you first to get access to all of our free picks and our podcast in one convenient place. That is the SGPN app. Go download it for free in your app store. All you got to do is type in SGPN p.m. But yes, Cody, what kind of offseason would it be if there were not major driver announcements in any series, and the IndyCar series is not immune to that?
Yeah, absolutely. And if you want to start, there's been a couple of other changes they've made to the series, and the biggest thing is they're bringing in an independent officiating board for IndyCar moving forward. So obviously Roger Penske owns IndyCar, Roger Penske owns IMS, Roger Penske also owns the Penske, Team Penske, and some conflict of interest there, right? Yeah, they had the whole knockout drag out with the team and firing Austin Cindric's dad and some other people that have been at Penske for a long time. So they're outsourcing the officiating board, if you will, now. And three people that are going to sit on this, talking of NASCAR ties, Ray Evernham is one of those guys that's going to be overseeing the officiating board, along with Raj Nair and Ronan Morgan. Those will be the three independent officiating board members that are going to help transform IndyCar moving forward, and hopefully get rid of some of those, cheating scandals, quote unquote, or whatever else, and just help it be more of an independent thing, right? And I think when you do have the conflict of interest, obviously owning the series and owning the team, being able to outsource that and have a third party taking care of the officiating, probably a good move for IndyCar.
Let's not get it twisted. He just wanted somebody else to blame. He just wanted no more of that to be on him and another entity to blame.
And it is funny because sure, it's a third party, but IndyCar is still paying those people to be the officials, which is still owned by Roger. So it's like, yes, and you'd hope they're going to be fair, obviously, right? And if you are Roger, you do want it to be fair, right? You don't want it to be, where you come in and you just dominate everything in your series. Like, you'd like to be able to do that without having to bend the rules to do so, and that's one of those tough things. And obviously, we've sort of been through all that with NASCAR here over the last couple of months, years, even with this whole lawsuit deal. But I think it's a good move by IndyCar to outsource that to a third party.
Yeah, but you think about just the way that racing in general is governed, and it has been governed since the sport became something of a sport, right? I mean, before it was NASCAR, before it was IndyCar, before it was Formula One, right? I mean, there's just a bunch of folks racing around and trying to beat each other on any given Friday or Saturday night. And then somebody decided, all right, well, let's make this into an entity. And the way it's been governed is usually just been a one system governance, right? It's just one entity that's had control over all of, and that's what we saw in NASCAR, right? And that's what we saw getting broken up, was the one governing body having control of just about everything. And it just seems like that's what the accepted thing was. And whether there was cheating scandals, whether there was, because I mean, like I said, I got a NASCAR history book that's, about that thick, that covers from 49 on to probably about 2000 and something. But, there was scandals. There was everything. You were never, ever, there didn't go a few years without one big scandal about somebody getting the better edge and NASCAR having a hand in it, and tipping the scales a little bit. So, Yeah,
absolutely. Well, and back in the day, easier to pay a guy to look the other way or get away with some things. Now, obviously, everything being electronic and whatnot, probably better in the fact that it's going to be more fair. But good to have that separate appeals or that separate rules officiating board that's taking care of things. So just love that for IndyCar. Careful what you text if you're a high-ranking person in a racing series.
Indeed.
Schedule changes, Rod. There are a few big surprises and changes, I guess, to the 17 race calendar. Iowa Speedway sadly has been dropped, which is unfortunate. I wasn't able to make it the last couple of years, but when I went there a couple of years ago, it was great. Big turnout. They unfortunately lost the big Hy-Vee sponsorship and the concerts, and that seemed to really take a toll on it. So Iowa's off the schedule. Thermal Club has been taken off. I don't think anybody's going to miss that. Mexico City not in the cards, of course, with the World Cup going on. So once again, all races will be broadcast on Fox, the big network, right? That was part of their TV deal. They're going to get all the stuff on Fox for being, for a lower price, which again, working on things for both sides. So one of the biggest things that IndyCar has just fucked up and fumbled on for years is you open the season with the St. Pete race. It's good. It's exciting. And then we don't race again for 3 or 4 weeks. And it's been, oh my goodness, like you've got this chance. Like, let's get rolling into the season. Let's capitalize on some momentum. Well, luckily they've listened. They've changed that. So starting this year, they're going to kick off. St. Pete is March 1st. So right at the beginning of March there. And they'll have 3 straight races going back to Phoenix Raceway, which will be fun to see for an oval race. And that's part of the NASCAR weekend. So that will be like they're both series are going to be there for that weekend, which is pretty exciting. And then they will go to the Arlington Grand Prix, which is going to be a street race in Texas there for the first time. So good to see them, starting off the season with a couple of back-to-back-to-back races and potentially capitalizing on, okay, let's get some momentum going into the season. Let's have a couple of good races here in a row, a good mixture of things, a couple of street courses, one of them being new, pairing up with NASCAR on an oval weekend. That's kind of great running those together. So, that's been a huge change that definitely going to like for IndyCar this year.
Well, and like you said, it's just when you have a sport like that, and we complain about it with F1 too all the time, where they'll get going and then they'll just take seemingly a month off at almost no real reason other than, obviously, I know they travel a lot more than IndyCar does, but I do appreciate the fact that they are going. And think about it this way too: they're going from Florida all the way to Arizona in a week span. So that's not an easy little haul to do. So kudos to them for stepping up and at least giving us a couple of races in a row to watch. Very excited to watch the street races this season, especially the one in Arlington. Like you said, they're adding that one because, again, COTA has been that big one that they go to, right? And now they're doing the street course out there in Texas. So, very much looking forward to all of that and having fun with that.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. And then they're doing the same thing with the Indianapolis 500. Again, the Indianapolis 500 draws massive TV crowds. People really get into it, and you get a lot of casuals that will sit down and watch that race, and then they were not racing after that. So it's like, oh, you get all this momentum, all this excitement, and then you don't race. They fixed that as well, and that's going to lead. They'll have 2 weekends back-to-back after that, going to the Detroit Grand Prix the following week, and then Worldwide Technology Gateway Raceway there in St. Louis, back-to-back races after the Indy 500. So shout out to IndyCar for it's changing up some of that scheduling. That's obviously going to leave us some different gaps in the schedule and whatnot, but capitalizing on that momentum and getting eyes on the first race and then getting eyes on the Indy 500, obviously, and being able to capitalize like, hey, tune back in next week because we're going to do this again. And, you're shifting from the Indy 500, which obviously an oval, over to the street course in Detroit. And it's like, hey, you like this? What about this? This is what else we do here, right? So, I think a couple of really good scheduling moves by IndyCar there.
Indeed. And it all wraps up September 6th at the WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca in Monterey, California. I have to check my schedule, but I really want to get out to that race. So I feel like that's a good one for me to get out to. I know that there's a couple of them that are close enough to me, but I think Laguna Seca, I love Monterey. Absolutely love Monterey. So I feel like getting out to Laguna Seca to end the year would be a very great road trip for me. So look for me out there at Laguna Seca if I can get myself a press pass.
Absolutely. That would be a ton of fun. Very sad about Iowa going away because that was a nice close race. I'm sad I wasn't able to make it last year, but unfortunate.
I know. Well, I mean, April 19th at Long Beach is also something that I could try to do as well. So, all right. There are odds and there are driver changes that we must get to for the rest of the IndyCar season. Before we do any of that, I would like to take this opportunity to tell you about our friends over at Kalshi. We just partnered up with Kalshi, a real money prediction market legal in all 50 states. In all 50 states, you can trade tons of markets, including the NFL, college football, college basketball, NBA, NHL, and so much more. Plus, you can even trade props like first TDs. But also, besides sports, they've got a ton of other markets, including politics, entertainment, hell. You can even trade on the weather. With Kalshi, you can trade on anything. Do not believe me? Well, I told you yesterday about who will win Survivor Season 49. That is happening tonight, the finale. There's a 3-way running right now between Savannah, Rizzo, and Sophie, that little 3-headed partnership that they've got going on right now. Savannah trading at 86%, 86 cents on the dollar is what she is for to win this whole thing. If you don't believe it, it's 20 cents on the dollar. Rizzo's getting 22% of the action. Sophie's getting 4. Sage, little underdog there, getting 1% of the action right now, trading at 2 cents on the dollar for the yes, 99 cents on the no. Telling you right now, you can get all kinds of great stuff over there at Call She. Go find your passion. New Call She customers get $20 when they use promo code SGPN. That's Call She, KALSHI, promo code SGPN. How about Underdog? It's your home for pick'em entries where you can win up to 5,000 times your entry. Underdog has you covered this holiday season with Underdog Unwrapped. You'll unwrap tons of promos all throughout the holidays. There are tons of stuff to get in on right now. How about the NFL? Thursday night football is happening. A big game between the Rams and the Seattle Seahawks. Kyron Williams, how about higher than a half of a rushing touchdown? That dude has been fire for these lately. Now Blake Corum comes in and steals a ton of them, but Kyron Williams probably going to break one loose for a touchdown in this game. So it's going to be Kyron Williams higher than a half of a rushing touchdown and receiving touchdown for that matter over there on Underdog. Underdog's got a brand new offer for new customers. Play just $5, get $75 in bonus funds when you sign up at the promo code SGPN. I had 2 fantastic running backs in my league, and unfortunately, Kyron Williams was also that outstanding running back last week and kind of negated it, and now I'm no longer in the playoffs because of a couple of bad performances.
That'll happen, Ron. That'll happen. I absolutely love Kyron this week. I've got my betting article for Thursday Night Football up at sportsgamblingpodcast.com. There is a lot of Kyron Williams things in there. A lot. Give me everything Kyron this weekend, including that 3 touchdown ladder. I went all the way up to that, Ron. So agreed.
I can't watch. I'm going to watch this game, but I'm going to watch it with like a puke bucket because I can't see any.
You just have to hope they tie, right? I think that's the best outcome for you.
I would love that. Yeah, I'll walk away with a tie. All right. Well, good to see you, gents. Way off topic here, but wanted to let you know I can confirm Tony Stewart will be in a truck next year. Got fitted for a seat this week at Welcome, North Carolina.
Ooh, there you go. I mean, it's been a rumor, right, with the Dodge deal with that free agent truck and his obvious ties to Dodge. I know his wife is stepping back into the drag car next year, so I don't know if he's going to be doing some. Maybe he's stepping back a little bit more part-time, whatever. But yeah, if Tony Stewart ends up in a truck next year, which, if this inside info is correct, which no reason to believe it's not, that's going to be pretty fucking exciting. Tony Stewart's obviously a legend, one of the greatest overall race car drivers in history. So yeah, to see him jump back in a truck, hopefully Casey Kane will do that as well, like he did last year in the Xfinity series. Oh, you'd love to see it.
Love to see all these old folks returning into the new seats that they're in. But in IndyCar, there's a lot of movement as well as new drivers take new seats on new teams. And it begins, Cody, we'll just read right down the list of folks that we're looking at here. And a familiar name for those of you who are F1 followers or F3 or WAC, I think is what he was just in recently, but that's Mick Schumacher. He is going to be driving now, replacing Delvin DeFrancesco, who drove the 30. He's going to be driving now in the 47 for the 47 team. And that's kind of big news because, obviously a guy with F1 ties and a big family name jumping into IndyCar again. It's that's going to make news.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, driving for Ray Hall Letterman Lanigan Racing, Schumacher, it's obviously a very huge name. Was just an F1 a couple of years ago and has been hanging around those ranks. So it's always exciting when you get these F1 guys that, once they kind of get out of that and end up finding their way to IndyCar, it's always exciting to see big names like that and to see how they fare against our traditional regular IndyCar guys. So love to see it and very excited for him to get this opportunity.
Yeah, last seen in Haas equipment in the F1 series before he bowed out again a couple of years ago. I remember he was a name that we would bring up quite a bit, right, in our F1 gambling podcast days when we were talking about points, finishes, and stuff like that.
Talked about him a ton, and then of course, if you don't know, son of Michael Schumacher, who Google him, Rod.
I don't know who that
is.
Never heard of that name. No, but that's a big get though. That's a big get for Ray Hall Letterman because those guys. They had good names, but I feel like this might just kind of put them over the edge and be a contender each and every week because, again, you just sometimes takes one big name.
And it's always interesting to see how these guys, and I don't know what his extent of oval racing is, but obviously they're going, they go to a decent amount of ovals. You got Milwaukee's back on there in a doubleheader, and Phoenix and some other oval races, Gateway, whatnot. So yeah, always kind of interesting to see how they fare. And RLL is not a top tier team, so we'll talk about his odds in a minute. Probably not going to be battling for the championship, but it'll be good to see what he can do in the car.
Indeed. All right, let's move down to the next driver on this list. That's a Brazilian driver named Kyle Collette. He will be driving for AJ Foyt Racing this year for his rookie season. This is going to be his first year replacing David Malukas. And, we talked about him off and on too when we were talking about our IndyCar. We're having our IndyCar shows, just head-to-heads normally, right? And a guy that you could count on to be sort of in the middle of the pack, nothing really, so which is probably why he's now driving the 4-car, is Collette. So this will be interesting. Again, a Brazilian rookie, been going around and driving in open wheel as well. Just getting his first chance to be an IndyCar driver.
Yeah. Indy NXT runner-up from last year, so had a good season. And if you don't know, NXT is the Xfinity or O'Reilly series, for the NASCAR crowd out there. But runner-up in that series last year, so good to see him get an opportunity. And speaking of David Malukas, who he replaces, Rod, he's moving on up
to the deluxe apartment in the 12. He's going to be taking the place of Will Power.
First of all, what a ride for this guy. Because if you remember, I believe it was 2 seasons ago, he had signed a deal with McLaren. He was going to be their next big driver. He's an up-and-coming guy. Got hurt. Was it leading into the season? I think it was like before the season, got hurt. I don't remember what he was doing or how he got hurt, but basically McLaren voided his contract and was like, yeah, sorry, right? You're out. That's when he kind of got shifted back around and got thrown into the AJ Foyt car. But now jumping into a Penske car, which is a pretty decent ride, stepping in for Will Power, who we'll talk about him and his new car in a few. But this is a great ride and a great opportunity for a young up and coming driver. Oh, the mountain biking accident, by the way.
That's what it was. Yeah,
If I read Bob Pockrass's article a little farther, I would have known that.
3 podiums in his career as a driver in the IndyCar series. And last season competed in all 17 races and had an average finish of 13.5. Did David in that AJ Foyt number 4. So, I mean, some notable finishes. He runner up in Indy in that AJ Foyt machine, 4th place at Iowa. So an 8th place at Milwaukee. Yeah, some pretty decent finishes, right? 9th place at Toronto. So, I'd be very interested to see what he does in this 12 because, like you said, this is a very big opportunity for him, filling the shoes of what's bound to be a Hall of Famer when it's all said and done.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. So it's going to be a big opportunity for him. We'll have to see how he does with it.
Rises to the occasion. All right. How about Dennis Hauger, the NXT champion of 2025 and former Formula 2 driver? He's going to be on loan to Dale Coyne Racing from the Andretti Global. So he'll be driving the 18 or the 51 next season, replacing Rinus VeeKay, which, I mean, again, some of these guys that they're replacing, the writing was on the wall for this, right? Because these guys they had potential, and it just felt like they were never really racing for anything other than a mid-pack finish.
Yeah, and this is, kind of one of the lower tier cars. We've seen this in NASCAR plenty of times where he's an Andretti Global driver, but, they're going to loan him to a little bit of a lesser team, get him some experience up there as they, potentially he'll be a replacement for Will Power, who's in an Andretti car now, right, as he gets towards the end of his career or whatever the path might be. But good opportunity for him to get into the big boy cars in IndyCar and get some experience. So that'll be good for him. He'll be one of those lower guys. Probably not going to talk about much for betting purposes, but in your fantasy games, you need a low salary driver, stuff like that. One of those guys that could potentially be an option on some weeks.
Indeed. All right. Well, then let's move on to the aforementioned Will Power. Has had 43 wins in his career, 102 podium finishes, 64 pole starts in his 18-year career. Man, that's just massive right there. That is a lot of numbers for Will Power, and obviously none better than his 6-win season in 2011, where he finished runner-up in the championship. But yeah, I mean, this guy, unprecedented, just super, super important to the sport. But now he's going to the number 26 car for Andretti Autosports. And I mean, look, he's replacing Colton Herta, which was a guy that we always talked about for podium finishes last season. And so I don't think much is going to change in that department. And I don't think he's going to suffer any sort of ill effects from driving other equipment that he hasn't driven in a while. It's Will Power, right? I mean, that's the guy that he's going to continue to be, and I don't see any fall off.
He's got plenty of willpower, Rod.
Sorry, and plenty of gas in the tank.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, he's good at that. But yeah, leaving Penske, obviously Penske Ganassi are the top tier teams here, the Gibbs Hendricks of the world, going back to the NASCAR crowd in comparison there. But if you're going to leave one of those teams, this is a pretty good team to land on, right? And it sounded like Penske didn't renew him, I guess, and so this is where he's ended up. It worked out with Herta leaving, getting that opportunity in F2, and to be the reserve driver over at Cadillac. That this was a great spot for him to plug in and kind of finish out his career, hopefully with a strong ride still. So we'll see him pop up definitely in some situations, oval tracks especially. Going to be a guy that's going to be a threat. Always a guy to look for in the Indy 500. So yeah, looking forward to. It's going to be weird. 17 years in that 12 car. Going to be weird to see him in a different number over in the 26, but glad that he still landed a pretty good ride.
Yeah, and again, he's going to be a guy that we really bring up a lot when it comes to podiums still this season as well. Like I said, I just don't feel like this ride is one that is going to hamper his production in the upcoming season. Again, specifically because last year was not really his most strongest year either. He only had 1 win, 3 podiums, and a pole. His average finish was 13.2 last year, like I said. So it just, it wasn't the strongest of seasons for him. So maybe that's really what he just needed, a change of scenery to jumpstart it back again to his dominant days. All right. Well, big news too, that we know Kyle Larson will not be returning to that 17 Arrow McLaren next season to race the Indy 500. I mean, it's been well documented that was probably not the best move of his life to try that again. We can pinpoint that downfall of his season before the championship.
Admiral Shook won the NASCAR Cup Series championship, right? So maybe it worked out okay, but
I did.
Yes, congrats to Ryan Hunter-Reay. He's getting that Indy 500 ride. It'll be the 31 car instead of the 17, but same ride. Not going to be a full-time season one, so obviously won't affect the championship standings, but yeah, he will be in the 31 car for the Indy 500, getting another shot at and winning another one of those.
Indeed. We talked about Rinus VeeKay getting his seat vacated, but he fills a seat at Juncos Hollinger Racing. He's going to be replacing Connor Daly in that 76. I mean,
I love Connor Daly. I hope Connor lands another ride, hopefully, especially in the Indy 500 when we can bet on him. But yeah, it's a decent move for VeeKay, moving from one smaller team to another smaller team. Probably, it was a good season for him last year. There's going to be some chances possibly to bet on him. Not a guy you're going to, be looking at every week to bet on for sure.
Daly could be in that 23 that's going to be opening up as well. So there's,
he's always like, he's like a Corey LaJoie where it's like, hey, there's still a seat left. We'll throw him in there type of guy. So I like Connor Daly a lot. Hope he gets an opportunity.
Indeed. Last but not least,
he killed it with Juncos Hollinger last year. Had a really good season. So hopefully he's able to build on it.
I hope so as well. That 98 car won't, the Marco Andretti will not return as an Indy 500 driver for Andretti Global. So that 98 car is probably looking for a driver for at least that race in particular. So that's pretty much it for the driver changes. I mean, that's still a lot though for a smaller car field. That's a lot of change.
Yeah, exactly. Not a full 36 cars like NASCAR gets, of course, but yeah, quite a few changes. A lot of the key seats stay the same, with kind of the exception of Will Power leaving the 12, Colton Herta leaving the 26. Those are going to be your guys that would be higher up in the championship standings year in and year out that have shuffled around their seats, and obviously Power just slid into that 26. So otherwise, your Palou's of the world, your Newgardens, your McLaughlins, the Arrow McLaren guys, all those kind of staying the same, and back for another year to try and dethrone Palou.
Yeah, and so the reason that Colton Herta is out, if you have not heard, he is pursuing a F1 seat. So the reason that he's not going to be competing in IndyCar is he wants to move up to F1 and get his shot.
Which was always the deal, right? He was very much a young, like he was the next guy, right? And it kind of, the road kind of fell apart on him. He lands in IndyCar. He had some success. There was high expectations. He didn't always live up to it, but yeah, he's getting a great opportunity. I believe he'll be racing full-time in F2 this year. And then he's going to be the reserve driver for Cadillac, the new team on the grid for F1. So really great to see for him. As Bob mentioned in his article that we were kind of going off of there, potential candidate for that 98 car coming back and running the Indy 500, which he's done really well in and had some chances at. So still be a guy you maybe see around the IndyCar world, but it's, like ultimately F1 is the pinnacle of open wheel racing. And it's good to see guys like that get an opportunity in that world. So best of luck to Colton Herta.
Definitely earned it because he's had a lot of great seasons out there in IndyCar as well. All right, we'll talk about some odds because there are odds out there for all of this. But first, I would like to say that Novig is one of our friends. We're brought to you by Novig. Novig is America's #1 sports prediction market. With Novig, you are getting the best prices out there. Don't believe me? I talked about the Thursday night football game between the Rams and the Seahawks. Well, if you want to take the Rams plus 2.5 in this contest, you can get that at -119. If you want the Seahawks, which again, I don't want either one, but if you want the Seahawks at -2.5, you can get them at +110. Over under set at 41.5. If you want the over, you can get it -120. The under at +109. Some great prices for you out there. So go download the Novig app. Get $50 when you spend $5 when you use our promo code SGPN. Get in on the action with Novig, promo code SGPN. Our friends over at Rhythm, they have crushed the NFL this season, especially on player props. Been really good at identifying when to fade players and take those unders. College basketball's up and running with 300+ schools. Rhythm has predictions for every game, every night, which, by the way, pairs nicely with the daily TCE shows with Matt Colby and Noah. Every game, you are prepared. Super easy to sign up, run predictions off the house model, or make your own and play with the sliders. With so many sports and the holidays, makes it easy to get an elite prediction on a game so I can focus on other sports like IndyCar. How about that Thursday night game again? I'm going to keep bringing it up because it's going to keep happening. Matthew Stafford, Rhythm is predicting under 33.5 passing attempts at +106 is the number. Matthew Stafford has only had more than 33 passing attempts in 2 of the last 5 games that he's played. Even going back further, that's like 3 in the last 8. So more than that, I very much love the under 33.5 passing attempts. By the way, Seattle has not allowed more than 33 pass attempts since week 12 when they gave up 42 to the Titans. So Steelers pretty stout against the pass. Matthew Stafford has been relying on the run game. See the correlation with Kyron Williams? And never mind. Use promo code SGPN25 when you download the Rhythm app for 25% off of your first month. Download Rhythm and use promo code SGPN25. I was not asleep in class when they taught about correlation and taking the under passing attempts in the over on rushing attempts, right? That's how that works, I think.
That's how it works. Love it.
Absolutely love it. All right. Let's talk about some IndyCar series odds, championship odds for the Indianapolis. Oh, that's Indianapolis 500. But yeah, there's definitely some IndyCar championship series odds.
Yeah.
What I find amazing.
Make sure you click the right tab, unlike Rod, and know what you're betting on because they do have Indy 500 odds as well, which we'll talk about in a future episode. But yeah, it's been the Alex Palou show the last few years, Rod. He's won the last 3 championships in a row. 4 of the last 5. Will Power did sneak one in there. Last year was not close. He won by 196 points. Similar to the old school NASCAR points format. It's a full season long points championship, and that's it. It's the 17 races, and that's how they do it. He locked it up multiple races ahead of the end of the year, which is, as we talked about in the offseason here with the NASCAR world, the downside of doing the 36 race thing is that happens a lot, and it's happened in IndyCar multiple times here recently. I believe the last 2 years he's wrapped it up well in advance of the end of the season. I believe it was 2023 where it was a lot closer with him and Newgarden going down to the end. But yeah, it's been the Alex Palou show lately. We'll get to his odds. He's going to be the heavy favorite. And I'll spoil it a little bit, Rod. Unbettable. So who can you bet on is the question.
Indeed, yeah. Alex Palou minus 200 out there is probably the most generous you're going to find. 8 wins, 13 podiums, 6 poles, and 17 races last year. Average finish of 4.1. Again, unbettable. Almost like Max Verstappen last year or a couple of years ago in Formula One, where you could never find anything shorter than minus 200.
Well, yeah, what a great thing to bring up, right? Because, yeah, it was the Max Verstappen show for a while, and he almost got away with it again last year, this year pulling it out, right? But he didn't as Lando Norris picks up the win. But that's what makes betting on the other guys fun, right? Is we could come sit on here and be like, oh, Alex Palou is going to win another championship, another boring IndyCar season. Fine. That's obviously the most likely outcome. He's minus 200 for a reason, but things happen, right? It's racing. Things can go wrong. Look at Team Penske's entire season this past year. If Chip Ganassi has a season like that or Palou has a season like that, there's going to be other drivers that are going to be able to pounce. We've got drivers that are building up and getting better year in and year out. There are some great opportunities to bet on other drivers, and it's fun, Rod, when you bet on somebody before the season, and then suddenly the Patriots are 11-3. You're holding an 80-1 ticket for them to win the Super Bowl in your pocket, and now, I'm super invested in this, right? Are they going to win the Super Bowl? We'll see, right? It's not yet determined, but no matter what, I'm riding into the NFL playoffs with an 80-1 ticket. If we get down to the end, I'm not saying you're going to get an IndyCar winner that's going to be 80-1. Probably not. But there is some good opportunity out there, and it's a lot of fun to bet on some people that are a little bit longer shots and have some fun with it.
It is indeed, unless, of course, you are a Chiefs fan in which you were coming back into the Super Bowl odds. So they're around 800 preseason favorites, plus 800.
There's another reason, Rod, that it's not always the favorite who wins it.
Mm-hmm. I'm telling you, that's why. And so if you're looking down the list, Pato O'Ward, the runner-up from last season, is actually a very huge gap between the two, plus 550 to win the championship. And Pato O'Ward, 2 wins, 6 podiums, 3 poles, average finish of 7.8 last season. And, he was only one of a handful of drivers that actually won races. Obviously, Alex Palou winning almost half of them kind of takes you out of the running, but it was Kyle Kirkwood at 3, Pato O'Ward at 2, the only other driver to win multiple races besides Kirkwood and Palou. So at plus 550, this is one of those areas where does he crest it? Does he make this jump again into the championship conversation? And is plus 550 too long to make you not want to jump on it?
Yeah, so I mean, just getting the next best guy at a number like plus 550 sounds pretty good, right? Because obviously Palou is such a heavy favorite. So being able to get the next best guy at that number, I think is a good price. I'm not ready to pull the trigger on O'Ward. We have seen him improve drastically. We've seen the Arrow McLaren program continue to improve. Obviously, it's panned out for them on the F1 side of things. They're doing a great job over there. They won the championship, both the constructors and Lando Norris gets the championship in F1. They've been building up this program, and I think that they've really done a good job of putting good young drivers in place. And we'll talk about one of his teammates that's a little farther down the board here in a few. But I think that O'Ward, after the season he had last year, is a deserving guy to be second on this list. So not ready to bet him at plus 550, but I think that it's appropriate for him to be here. Obviously finishing second to Alex last year and having a pretty strong season.
He has finished top 5 in the standings all but once since 2020. A 4th place in 2020, 3rd in 2021, 7th in 2022, 4th in 2023, 5th in 2024. And then, of course, his best finish was the runner-up last season. So he's been a solid top 5 driver each and every season, which is why I think plus 550 is a good stab to take if he decides to make a good run at it. I was talking about the fact that only a few drivers had won multiple races. Kyle Kirkwood was that guy, ended up finishing 4th overall in the standings last season. He is at 7-1 to win the championship. So
talk about a guy on the rise. Wow. The rise of Kyle Kirkwood over the last couple of years, coming from, I don't want to say out of nowhere, but from being pretty far down the board. And I should go back and look at last year's odds because he had to have been a fairly long shot coming into this last year. But Very impressive season for him. Finally found his way into victory lane a couple of years ago, and then just really expanded on it last year and came out of his shell. And, early on in the season was right there neck and neck with Palou before obviously, Palou kind of pulled away and he ended up falling to fourth, but a very good season for Kirkwood last year.
Yeah, indeed. Average finish of 10.8 overall on the season. Like I said, 3 wins, 3 podiums, and 1 pole for Kyle Kirkwood. And, like you said, can he make himself, it's another Andretti Motorsports guy. Can he continue the run that he's been on? Ended the season last year with a 6th place finish at Nashville, 6th place at Toronto, wins at Detroit and Gateway, back-to-back wins, the win at Long Beach. So, yeah, I mean, Kyle Kirkwood, like you said, somebody that's kind of on the rise, just keep an eye out for him, and a 7-1 might be a nice little stab for the guy that finished 4th last season.
Yeah, I think it's a deserving spot for him to be in. Again, not the guy I'm running to the board to bet on right now, but he is, again, deserving of being in the spot, and the story and the trajectory that he's on has been a very good one, and he's definitely a guy that could continue to take that next step and be the guy that challenges Palou.
Indeed. Somebody that we love, especially for the Indy 500 portion of this, and for most ovals, by the way, is Josef Newgarden. He is at 8-1. He ended up finishing 12th overall in the points last season. Only 1 win, 3 podiums, and 1 pole. Kind of a disappointing season for one of the better, like we said, oval drivers out there. Had a run of bad luck. I mean, he crashed out of Toronto, had some contact at Mid-Ohio that took him out of the race, crashed out at Elkhart Lake, had mechanical issues at Indianapolis, which, that's the guy that was supposed to win that race, had some mechanical issues and took him out of it. And yeah, I mean, it was just a rough season overall for Newgarden. And now he comes into this as 8-1 to win the championship this year. Does he bounce back? I mean, the guy has been a champion already. He was a champion in 2019, a champion in 2017, second in 2020, second in 2021, second in 2022, and then 5th, 8th, and 12th over the last 3 seasons. So can we see a return to form for Newgarden? And do you want to touch 8-1?
This is where I do want to touch 8-1, because I feel like Josef Newgarden really is the next best driver to Alex Palou. And the last couple of seasons, just it's been weird, because last season was just horrendous, really, for the entire Penske team. They just ran into problem after problem and issue after issue. Then you get the scandal thrown in there, all of that stuff. And it was just kind of I think you almost had to throw that year away, because we don't expect Penske to have a year like that again, right? Everything that could possibly go wrong for all 3 teams really just went wrong. And it's like, you hope that doesn't happen again. And I don't think that it will. But Newgarden is capable of doing it, right? The king of the ovals. Sucks for him that they're not going to Iowa anymore, because he really was the king of the corn there. Not good corn, because it's Iowa corn, but king of the corn nonetheless. So that, sucks getting taken off the schedule for him, but plenty of other ovals in there still, although some other guys have definitely caught up to him a little bit in that case, right? But Newgarden is the type of guy that can go out and do it, and he's done it before. You talked about the championships, the runner-up finishes. The last 3 seasons or so, it's been disappointing when you've kind of had high expectations. But at 8-1, this is the first guy where I'm like, oh yeah, I want to bite here, right? I think for what he's capable of, you could, in the way you want to kind of look at this is, you could make a case for Pato, you could make a case for Kirkwood, yes. But when you come to Newgarden, we could be 3-4 races into the season. You could be looking back and going, oh shit, suddenly he's the favorite now, because he's come out of the gates just tearing it up. He's won the Indy 500 multiple times here recently, had really good performances in that. It's just, if things go the right way, and you hope for his sake, right, that he's maybe due, because they paid their dues last year with just problem after problem after issue after issue. If they fix all of that and he comes out and reaches his potential, I think he can be the best car driver in IndyCar, and he's on a great team. So 8-1 for Josef Newgarden is a guy that I'm willing to put my money on, and he's the first guy on the board that I'll be placing a bet on.
Yeah, no doubt. He definitely, the talent is there, and the price is right, I think, for Josef Newgarden. So 8-1, good price. Jump on it now before, like you said, it's a couple races into the season. It could not be this. We could be looking more closer to the, plus 500 or so. You lose 3 4 points on it.
That's the thing too. Like, if you're just sold on Palou, you want to bet on Palou, minus 200 for a bet that's going to sit out there for months. there's just almost no reason to make that bet. If you want to parlay it with something, to juice it up, that's definitely something you could do. But wait 3-4 races into the season. Now, that could backfire if he just comes out and looks like he normally does. But if he slips up a little bit early on, like a Max Verstappen, and gets behind, that's an opportunity. Oh, shit, now he's plus 200 or plus 400. That might be your opportunity to jump in if they can turn things around. And he does like a Max Verstappen did this past year in F1, comes back and has a shot at the end. Palou could definitely do that. So just to go back on the Palou thing, keep that in mind and watch these odds because they do update them throughout the season. You'll get other opportunities. Maybe if he does come out of the gate a little cold, has some issues or whatever, you might have an opportunity to pounce at a better number.
And honestly, you'd be more profitable betting on him to win races this year. I mean, he won 8 out of 17. You would have made more money betting on him to win races than to hold on to that ticket for the end. I mean, you would have still cashed, but let's say something did happen and he didn't win the championship, but he won all those races. It's just, there's different ways of going about it. So, all right, we're getting into double digits now with the Thirsty Threes and the Kiwi himself, Scott McLaughlin, 10-1 for Scott McLaughlin, who ended up finishing 9th overall in the points. No wins, 3 podiums and a pole, average finish of 13.2 last season, in a disappointing season for the Penske number 3. Like you said, just the team overall, right? Just a very rough year for Penske in general. And Scott McLaughlin, unfortunately, was one of those guys that was part of that.
Yeah, you have to throw out everything from Penske last year. Things just didn't go well. 3rd place a couple of years ago back in 2024, 3rd place back in 2023. So he's kind of been the guy that's right there hanging on, being close in this championship battle. You could definitely make the case to 10-1. I think he's going to have a strong season. He continues to get better and better. Again, I'm just kind of throwing last season out for all the Penske guys. Splitting hairs, I'm going to take Newgarden over him at 8-1. Obviously, he's a little bit better odd or better number for a reason. He's the guy I'd rather bet on, but if you're a Thirsty Threes fan, I'd put in a 10-1 ticket on Scotty Mac to win it.
Yep. That would be, if you're a Scotty Mac fan, bring it on. All right, let's talk about Christian Lundgaard in that Aero McLaren car.
Well, you're going to skip over the other guy, Rob?
Did I skip over somebody?
I
did. Scott Dixon.
I mean, he's only won, like a million IndyCar championships, but you don't want to talk about him.
No, I guess we got to talk about Scott Dixon. 3rd place finisher last year, won a race, had 3 podiums, average finish of 8.3. Can he do it again? Can he win another championship? I mean, like you said, the dude is absolute royalty. Can never really count him out. At 15-1 too. That's I don't know. I don't know if that's disrespectful or if that's spot on because the guy's got 58 wins in his career.
I think both, because he does have 58 wins in his career. He's got 6 IndyCar championships. Going back all the way to 2003 was the first one, and most recently in 2020. So he's a guy you can never count out. At 15-1, he definitely gets my vote, right? I'm going to throw a little bet on him. I'll spoil it for you. There's 3 guys I'm betting on. It's Newgarden, it's Scott Dixon, and then another guy we're going to talk about here in a minute. But Dixon just puts himself in position all the time. He's on a great team in Chip Ganassi. Obviously overshadowed a little bit by Palou, but again, we've already documented it. Things can go wrong for guys. You can have bad races, a string of bad races, whatever it is. Dixon is a master to the NASCAR. Again, we're the NASCAR Gambling Podcast, so if you're a NASCAR listener, you don't follow IndyCars closely, think of Joey Logano, a guy who finds his way into good positions, puts himself in the right positions, can make a fuel tank last like a motherfucker. Scott Dixon is the king of that, much like a Joey Logano is. They're willing to gamble. They're willing to take risks, which you like to see. And he's consistently in near the top of the standings year in and year out. He can put together a couple of strings of really good races, build himself some points. So 15-1, he's a guy you could just never count out. He's been good each and every year. He's been doing the thing. And I think that, again, probably going to need some help with something to go wrong with Palou, but he can put himself in position to be there and have an opportunity. So Scott Dixon, 15-1, I'll take it.
To your point, 3rd last year, 6th the year before that, but 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 1st, 4th, 1st, 3rd, 6th, 1st. Yeah, it's just top 3s in the standing, right? Yeah, that number on his car is also the number that he likes to be at the end of the year when he's not number 1. So, all right. Scott Dixon, 15-1, obviously a good one. Christian Lundgaard, we just talked about 20-1 for Christian Lundgaard. I'm not necessarily all that excited about that one. He's fifth
I'm
place
so
in the place.
excited.
Yeah?
So excited, Rod. This
All right,
is my
bring it.
guy. I love Christian Lundgaard. If I had to say like I have a favorite driver, Christian Lundgaard is the guy. I've loved him since he was in the 45 car. He's an up and coming guy. He has slowly done better and better. He's moved himself into this McLaren ride last year, full time for the first time. Comes out and has a strong season, right? Pato O'Ward goes out and finishes second in the standings, so we know what these Aero McLaren cars are capable of doing. Lundgaard has a solid season, puts together good runs. He's been able to get into victory lane, atop the podium, and he's the young guy that I think we could see the Kirkwood type of leap here, where he's already won a race. He's won races. He's kind of right there, and all of a sudden, boom, he's got 3-4 wins. You're talking about him every week. He can be good on ovals. He can be in the mix. Lundgaard's the guy for me, and honestly, the last guy on the board that I'm wanting to put a ticket in on. But at 20-1, Christian Lundgaard, I think, is the type of guy that we could see. We could see that Kirkwood leap, and I think that's really the best comparison, where Kirkwood we saw kind of ramping up, getting a little bit better, getting good opportunities, and then boom, whoa, he's a contender, right? Obviously, Palou ran away with things, but Kirkwood was in the mix for a while last season before Palou got away with it. I think Lundgaard could be that next guy. 20-1. I love betting on Christian Lundgaard this year.
He was the second most podiums on the season, 6 of them tied with Pato O'Ward, second only to Alex Palou with 13. So, yeah, I mean, okay. You
just need the consistency on the back end, right? You have all those podium finishes, have some good runs. Let's get some wins, add to that, and let's cut out the bad finishes, because obviously in a season-long point standings, that's what's going to kill you the most is the bad finishes. But if we can clean that up and things get better, it'll only be his second year in a premier ride, right? He's coming over from the 45 car a couple of years ago, a good ride, but not a premier ride. With Aero McLaren now, it's one of the top teams. It's almost like, again, if you're looking at NASCAR, you got Gibbs and Hendrick at the top. It's Ganassi and Penske, but I would compare Aero McLaren to the Penske team in NASCAR, where they're kind of that 1A-B of right behind the Gibbs and Hendricks, where they can be a contender, they can win championships, they can win races, and Lundgaard is the guy for me. So 20-1, I'll absolutely am betting on Lundgaard to win the title.
All right, you sold me. I will be a Lundgaard fan next season and cheer him on as well. All right, I think the last one of note would be Will Power. We talked about him now taking over Colton Herta's ride in the 26. What does that do for us? Does that improve his odds?
I don't think it improves the odds. I think you'd rather be at Penske than at Andretti, obviously. But that being said, I mean, look at Kirkwood last year, right? In an Andretti car, he finishes in 4th. We just talked about him as up-and-coming guy. Herta finished in 7th place. Go back to 2 years ago, Herta was second in the points to Alex Palou in 2024 in the championship race. So certainly the equipment is capable. We know that Will Power is capable. I talked about how Palou has won the last 3 years and 4 of the last 5. Well, the one other guy in there is Will Power himself, right? Picking up was it 21 or 22 title in there. But yeah, I mean, certainly he's capable of it. When a guy gets to this point in his career, right, 18 years in, 17 years with Penske, now you come over to another ride. This is the crossroads, right? Is how does it fare? Does it turn into Kyle Busch? Although Kyle Busch, for the NASCAR comparison, won 3 races in his first year at RCR, was rejuvenated, right? A new ride, a new opportunity. Maybe we get that out of Will Power, who didn't make it to victory lane last year amid all of the Penske issues, although he was the best finishing Penske car in the standings, by the way. So yeah, certainly a 20-1 is a guy that you should look at. I'm going with the Lundgaard, the Dixon ahead of him. So those are the guys I'm going to bet on. You can't bet on everybody, but you could certainly make a strong case for Will Power. And if you're a fan of Will Power, I'm a fan of the Patriots, right? I bet the 80-1 because I thought they were capable of it. Power is capable of it. At 20-1, grab yourself a championship ticket.
All right. So anybody else in that list? I feel like that's about everybody that I would want to bring up for a championship run.
Yeah, I just don't. I mean, so Malukas, I think, is worth a conversation. Jumping up into the 12 car. It's a Penske car. We know what they're capable of. Does Malukas have what it takes in his first year at Penske? Yeah, at 25-1, I think if the number was bigger, If it was like a 50-1, I might be a little more interested just because it's a Penske car. We know what it's capable of. Maybe he strikes gold, but I'm kind of on a more wait and see with him. Outside of that, I just don't know. I mean, a Santonio Ferrucci at 120-1 would be fun, but you just don't see it happening. Kiffin Simpson is in a Chip Ganassi car at 200-1, but he seems so far off. I guess if you really want a D-Gens only dart throw for the car he's in, go for it, but probably not an advisable bet to make. And outside of that, I think there's just nobody else that jumps off the board to me. That like Mick Schumacher is not going to come in and win in his first year with RLL. I don't see anybody else on the board that I'd be willing to put money on, or that I think we really even need to spend more time talking about.
I agree. Yeah, there's nobody really else that I'm itching to suggest that you put a championship bid on. So I think that is a good place to end this conversation, Cody, and come back tomorrow and discuss the same thing with Formula One, which has got a lot of new changes as well.
Oh, man. IndyCar, I mean, obviously Palou's at the top of the board. It's similar to what Verstappen's been the last couple of years, going before last season. But F1, it's cracked wide open, baby. There's about 6 guys who could win the title over there. That's going to be really, really exciting to go over the odds and talk about that. And a lot of changes there. They're adding a team to the grid, which will up it to 22 cars instead of 20. And some other rule changes and package changes and car changes. So we'll cover all that tomorrow. Super excited for it. And if you're an IndyCar person checking us out, thank you. We're coming at it from the NASCAR angle more. We're NASCAR guys, but love IndyCar as well. And we'll definitely have more IndyCar stuff throughout the off season and whatnot. So stay tuned with us. We appreciate it. And we'll see everybody tomorrow. Rod, in the meantime, follow me over on the X at Husker_Zeeb. You can find all my stuff over there. Tons of football stuff, college football, a lot of that coming out with bowl season, NFL action, all types of stuff, college football playoff, whatever else they'll let me write about, I'm writing about it. And you can find it all at Husker_Zeeb. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
Follow me on Twitter at RJ Villagomez. You can find all the stuff that I am up to on that site as well. Like Cody said, back tomorrow. We will lament the loss of DRS and among other types of things as we talk Formula One. So until then, we will see you tomorrow. We love you all. Let's go racing. Let's make NASCAR gambling fun again and let it ride.